Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into a really key chapter from To Kill a Mockingbird. It's funny how sometimes being left out can lead to something amazing. That's exactly what happens here. We're going to see how a lonely summer for Scout sparks a brand new friendship, and how a childhood obsession with a neighborhood mystery, well, it leads to a forbidden note and a lesson they will never, ever forget.
So this quote right here, it really sets the scene for everything. Scout is basically on the sidelines, her brother Jem and their buddy Dill are off in their own little world, and she's just left out. And you know, that feeling? That's what kicks everything off. It's this moment of exclusion that pushes her to find a new friend. And that friendship is going to completely change how she sees her neighborhood, and, most importantly, how she sees the mystery man, Boo Radley.
So we're calling this part a friendship of necessity. And it really is, isn't it? I mean, what pushes Scout to look for a new friend in the first place? Well, as Jem and Dill get deeper into their own games and secrets, Scout gets pushed further and further out.
Yeah, the boys are always off plotting in their treehouse, and they pretty much only call Scout down when they need a third player for one of their games. It's more than just feeling left out, though. This secret world they've built is really the thing that sends Scout marching right across the street, straight to Miss Maudie Atkinson's porch. So it starts as a friendship born out of, sheer loneliness. It's about to turn into something way, way more important.
All right, so let's get to know Miss Maudie. Who exactly is this Miss Maudie Atkinson? Well, Scout's about to find out that this neighbor she's known her whole life is actually one of the smartest, most down-to-earth people in the entire town of Maycomb.
Okay, I love this part. The book is so smart about how it introduces us to Miss Maudie. It basically puts her side by side with the town gossip, Miss Stephanie Crawford, and the difference is just night and day. Right? Miss Stephanie is nosy, you can't trust her, she's always playing games. But Miss Maudie? She's the real deal, a true friend. She gives the kids their space, she's kind just for the sake of being kind, and of course, she shares those amazing cakes she makes.
And she is just a woman of these fantastic contrasts. I mean, think about it. By day, she's in her overalls, fighting this epic battle against nutgrass, which she hates with a passion, calling it an Old Testament pestilence. But then in the evening, she completely transforms, just sits on her porch with this, quote, magisterial beauty. She's so fiercely independent, loves her garden, and is just so generous. For Scout, she's this incredibly stable, kind person to have around.
Okay, next up, the truth about Boo Radley. Because you just knew it was coming, right? As Scout and Miss Maudie get closer, spending all these evenings talking on the porch, eventually the conversation has to turn to the biggest, spookiest mystery on their street, Boo Radley.
So Scout finally just comes out with it. She works up the nerve to ask the one question that's been behind all their summer games, all their spooky stories. It's a really simple, direct question, and you've got to give her credit. She asks the one adult she knows will shoot her straight.
And Miss Maudie, of course, does not disappoint. Her answer is so simple, so logical. No ghost stories here. But did you catch the first thing she does? She calls him by his name, Arthur. With that one word, she starts to tear down this whole monster myth the kids have built up, and she puts a real person in its place.
So to explain why Arthur is always inside, Miss Maudie brings up this term, foot-washing Baptist. She explains that Arthur's dad was one of these religious extremists, someone who took the Bible so literally that he believed anything fun, anything that brought pleasure, was a sin. And you can just imagine the kind of dark, lonely shadow that would cast over a home.
And this quote right here, it just shows you how extreme we're talking. These people walked by Miss Maudie's house and told her that she and her beautiful flowers were going to hell. Why? Because she spent too much time outside enjoying them instead of inside reading the Bible. It's through this story that Miss Maudie makes this incredibly powerful point. Sometimes, the Bible in one person's hands can be way more dangerous than a bottle of whiskey in another's. A really stark warning about religious extremism.
And then, with just one sentence, Miss Maudie just completely debunks all the scary stories about Arthur. She says they're basically, quote, 3/4 colored folks and 1/4 Stephanie Crawford. She's tracing the rumors right back to their source, a mix of the town's racism and, you guessed it, Stephanie Crawford's overactive imagination. What she's really doing here is teaching Scout how to think for herself, how to question what she hears.
Now, Scout gets a little defensive about her dad, Atticus, and that's when Miss Maudie says this amazing line. This is pretty much the highest praise anyone in Maycomb could ever get. It's all about Atticus's integrity. The man you see on the street is the exact same man he is at home. There's no mask, no public versus private self. He's just Atticus,
all the time.
All right, let's talk about the fishing pole gambit. Because even after Miss Maudie gives them a serious dose of reality, the boys are not giving up on Boo Radley. Nope, their obsession is still going strong, and they come up with their wildest, most daring plan yet to try and make contact.
And you just have to love the kid logic here. The plan is kind of brilliant in its own way. First, they write a really polite note asking Arthur to come out. They even offer to buy him ice cream. But the delivery system, that's where it gets crazy. They attach the note to a fishing pole, plan to stick it through a window shutter, and post Dill as a lookout, with a dinner bell to ring if anyone comes. It's a classic summer scheme.
So this brings us to a lesson from Atticus. And as you can probably guess, this whole master plan does not go smoothly. Not at all. In fact, it's about to blow up in their faces in the best or worst way possible.
So here's the scene. Jem is literally mid-maneuver, trying to get this note on the windowsill with the fishing pole when the warning bell starts ringing like crazy. But it's not some neighbor they were worried about. Nope, it's Atticus, standing right there. He saw the whole thing. And just like that, game over.
Atticus's reaction is so perfect. It's firm, it's direct, and it gets right to the point. He doesn't just yell at them for messing around. He completely changes their perspective. He tells them, stop tormenting that man. He doesn't see it as a game. He sees it as torment. And that one word changes everything. It's a huge lesson in empathy for the kids.
And look, he doesn't just lay down the law. He explains why it's wrong. He gives them this clear moral argument. He talks about Mr. Radley's right to privacy, how his house is his own business, and that you talk to people at their front door, not by poking notes through their window. He forces them to see Arthur Radley as a real person, a private citizen, not some sideshow freak for their entertainment. He even calls their game asinine and tells them they're putting this man's life story on display for the whole neighborhood to gawk at.
And then he drops the hammer with this final absolute command. You stop this nonsense right now. Every one of you. And that's it. The Boo Radley games, the thing that's been the center of their whole summer, are officially over. Shut down by the one person they would never, ever dare to disobey.
Which, brings us full circle, right back to what Miss Maudie said. Atticus isn't just telling his kids how to act. He's showing them. He lives by that code. This whole idea that the person you are in public should be the exact same person you are behind closed doors, that's not just a theme for this one chapter. That is the moral backbone of this entire book. It's a standard that, as we're going to see, almost nobody else in Maycomb can live up to. So the real question it leaves us with is, what does it actually mean to be the same person, inside and out? That's the thought that's going to stick with us as we move forward.